Welcome back to another episode of Let's Finally Grow. I'm your host, Ariana. And let's fucking grow. Let's fucking grow. Today's the day we grow. We get on out of here. We level the fuck up in this bitch. And we need to level the fuck up in this bitch. Specifically with ourselves. And without anything else in life. But what we're going to get into today is with dating. Now, I am going to speak from my perspective, which is new news to me, new news here. I never speak. All I ever do is speak from my perspective. But I want you to keep that in mind when I talk about what I mean and what I'm saying while we're leveling the fuck up with dating, because anything that I'm saying is from my own experience and what comes to mind, and that may not be yours. And if it's not yours, enlighten me. Seriously, I love sharing perspectives. We can all help each other grow, but maybe, just maybe, my perspective will be relatable to you. So if you're new here, let's fucking go. But know that I did not date much in 2025. Anyone who has listened to me before probably already knows that, because I've said it once and I'll say it as many times as I have to get my point across. But with that being said, I have dated so much in my lifetime. I'm single now at 30, so obviously I've had my fair share of serious relationships, situationships, whatever the fuck you want to call some experiences. I've been down the road. I've done it all. Maybe I haven't done it all, but I've done a lot. And when it comes to dating, it is the one thing that is so mysterious in this world. Everyone wants to be dating, and I'm not saying that everyone wants to be in a serious relationship, but everyone wants to be dating just in their own way with their own capacity, which I don't think is talked about enough. So we're gonna fucking get into it. The dating culture, from my eyes, is a little messed up. And I don't want it to be that way. I don't want to sit here and trash every guy and dating culture and all of that. Don't get me wrong. I'm starting it off with saying it's messed up. But I think there's a way that we can fix this. Who the fuck am I? I single-handedly am fixing this dating culture. If it's the last fucking thing I do, get rowdy. Let's fucking grow. Oh my God. I need to get my energy out in the beginning of the episode so we can get into it and we lock in and get serious. So the reason why I say the dating culture is messed up is because I just don't think people are being genuine. And I don't know if that starts with they're not being genuine with themselves with what they want. So then how are they going to go and be genuine with someone else? I think it's a free-for-all. It's a cesspool. It's a free-for-all. Everyone's just throwing themselves out there and they're seeing what the hell is going to happen. No one has a game plan. And maybe there are some people that do, but majority rules in this situation. I think a lot of girls are scared to say what they want when it comes to dating because they're scared to scare guys away. And that's something that I think is just going to be a hard pill to swallow. You need to say what you want and you need to scare the guys away. That needs to be a part of the process, because dating is not supposed to be you bend over backwards, shrink yourself, stay silent, mold yourself into whatever the fuck you need to be to get the male approval. I'll say that too as many times as I need to. That is not what we're doing out here, ladies. Because if you are not settling, which if you're still single right now, I'm sure you're not settling, that means that you're going to be that much more selective with who you are with, and that's a choice you've made. So you're not going to shrink yourself in any capacity or fear of rejection and not say what you want to get the man. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I have done that before. And the man that I was presented with in the beginning that I met, that I played it so cool for to make sure that I won him over, was the same man that I was dealing with 6 months into talking to him that I realized was not for me. So me changing myself, my behavior, changing everything I wanted. Yeah, sure, it got the guy to like whatever, however I was acting, but it still didn't work and it still wasn't a match. It was a lesson, but I don't want to waste my time like that again. And I don't want the girls to do that either, because I do see that. Like, and honestly, getting back out into dating, it's hard to not want to play it cool, to just keep things cordial. But like us females, we have our intuition kicking in and we know what we want. I'm 30. If you're like in your mid 20s, late 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, if you are past your mid 20s and you're a female, I'm sure you know what you want. I'm sure. Even if you're not admitting it to yourself, you know what you want. And, maybe that doesn't look the same for every girl, and that's okay. But we owe it to ourselves to be honest about what we want. And I think if we can do that and we can be so honest about what we want to ourselves, to other people, reject it, reject some, keep it moving, it will force the men to have to understand that girls know what they want. Now, I think with guys, I'm not a guy, so I don't know what the fuck goes on in their mind. And I'm not here to just shame across the board. But I do think there's a culture of guys wanting access to females and not really putting in the effort to gain the relationship. So for guys, they'd rather just have a roster going on, access to multiple girls. They don't have to catch feelings. And girls on the other end are taking things slow, trying to play it cool in hopes that the guy with time will commit. But in reality, the men aren't even moving that direction. They just want the access. So I do think that it is so necessary for girls to say what they want right away initially, because you do not want to be strung along. You don't want to be in fantasy island creating a whole life with someone who is not even moving in your direction and just wants access to you and other girls. And this is where my perspective comes in, that I'm saying may not be everyone's. I don't want a roster. I don't want one. Nothing about having a roster sounds appealing to me. I love the time and energy and effort I put into myself. I love my peace of mind. And I know that I want to get to know someone who respects me. I don't want to just have a few men, a couple men, however many needs to be on the roster, would be on the roster, to protect my feelings from catching feelings. I feel like it's kind of setting you backwards in a sense, unless you are someone that does just want multiple men, doesn't mind having a roster. Good for you. If that's good for you, if that's what you want, that is not what I want. And because I didn't date for a whole year, I feel like my emotions have just amplified to recognize what I want. If I didn't have it for so long and now I'm putting myself out there again, why am I going to be putting myself out there? Not to get sucked back into whatever culture there was before I took time off of dating. I'm being honest with myself. And I want to get into, I brought up Fantasyland, Fantasy Island. I don't know which one I said, but the land of fantasy. Ladies, we're all guilty of it. It is so difficult when we are dreamers and we fantasize and romanticize life and we have all of these beautiful images in our mind to not get caught up in a fantasy land with a man. I actually was reading this book. I think it's called Detached. And I will put the link for it in my bio, in the episode description. But in this book, it was saying that one of the main issues with dating is that girls, and sometimes guys too, let's just say sometimes people get too attached too soon. And what that does is the energy scares away the other person. It's just like how energy fucking works. And then one person is so hurt because they got so attached, and it's like so much harder to remove yourself from a situation. And I think a lot of that stems from having these fantasies or ideas in a mind when you get into a situation of what you think it could be. But I think that if we look at dating instead of like just getting excited if we meet someone that we have chemistry with, we look at it as we are collecting data. We are collecting data. We are not fantasizing. We are just getting to know this person. We can maybe avoid the fantasy land, island, whatever the fuck it is, from happening, because I really do think that hurts us. I think that hurts us so bad. I think that we hurt our own feelings in that situation. And to be honest, I have a lot of great first dates. I have a lot of good first dates. I want a good fourth date. That's what my goal is now. Let me get to the fourth date and see that the man is progressing and I'm getting to know him better and that it's not going backwards. There should be no fantasies between like the first 3 dates, because you have no idea who that person is, and men put their best foot forward on the first few dates if they're trying to impress whatsoever. You got to take time, and you got to let them tell on themselves and show themselves a bit more, because in the book it also said getting attached is a part of the dating process. It's so natural for human to get attached, but you're not supposed to really get in that phase until later on, until you know the person. So I think maybe that's why the roster culture is so popular, because people are trying to avoid getting attached. And if you have multiple people, you don't really have to get attached. But I think we're better than that. I think we're stronger than that. I think that if we want to get to know someone and don't want to go along with the roster culture and all the dating confusion, then we can put ourselves out there, get to know someone. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Keep it moving. And if rosters are cool for you, keep doing your damn fucking thing. As we know by now, unless we're brand new, I love meditation, manifesting, learning about rewiring the mind. So I'm always going to be talking about that while I'm expressing anything in this episode. And what we tell ourselves to be true is true. So if we say that the dating culture sucks, guess what? The dating culture is going to suck. And that is what I hear most. I hear, unless someone's in a really great relationship, I hear that the dating culture sucks and that there's no good men in any city. That's like the most common one. And I felt victim to that. I used to always say, I will never date a guy from Philadelphia. All the guys from Philadelphia are not dateable. So I was a part of the problem. And this past year, when I really got into like rewiring my mind, trying to make different outcomes out of life, not just going with what society says, dating is a part of that process. And I'm trying to tell myself that dating is fun and exciting. And then I'm putting myself out there and I'm like, fuck. No, it's not. I take it back. But then I have to rewire the mind. So I'm like, no, it's fun and it's exciting. And rejection is redirection. I think that we can't just say something once and our reality is different. You know, we have to stick to it and we have to commit to it, and we have to commit to like what we want dating to be and what we want the outcomes to be. And maybe it's not always going to be that way, but eventually you're going to get to that better outcome. Like, I want dating to be fun and exciting, and I want to get to know people. And then eventually, yeah, I want to get the fuck out of the dating confusion. I want to be out of the streets. Take me the fuck out. But I also know I'm not going to be desperate to get out of the streets with just anyone. I am not going to alter myself. And I do know that not everyone is for everyone. So we don't have to take everything as personal as we do. And I know it's so hard not to do that because the way like society has been trained and the way our minds have been told to like think about things, but it's never as personal as it seems. And even if it feels like it is, because it always does, it really does. It sucks when you are, or it feels as personal as it always does. Just know you always get through it. Another thought that I am constantly replaying in my mind. So like dating is fun and exciting, and I'm looking for someone that makes me have fun dating. So I'm not just looking for a person with chemistry, because honestly, that's where so many people can have chemistry together. You can have great conversations, great energy, but not everyone has the capacity to keep up with dating. You never know where someone's capacity is unless they're going to be very honest about it. But it's important to recognize consistency over time to understand their capacity. But finding someone who makes dating enjoyable, because if that's the goal, and even if the next person I find that makes dating enjoyable doesn't work out, at least that's the standard I'm setting for myself. Like, I will date someone when dating is enjoyable. I'm not just going to go and throw myself out there because I feel like I have to. And the reason why I say these things like I feel like I have to is because I have felt like I've had to. I've felt like there's so many times in my life that, you know, do you want to be alone or do you want to have the male energy around you? I want to be alone. I'm kidding. I do want the male energy around me, but not in the way that I once did. I don't feel like I need to date to keep life exciting. I need to be selective and protective of my energy. If you do the preventative work when it comes to dating, it's that much easier to glide through onto the next karate chop, hiya, and find your person. How does it get so complicated? Like, the goal is we want to find someone to kick it with, hang out, share life with. And I don't know how it got so complicated, but I'm not saying it's complicated anymore. It's fun and exciting. Because it got complicated because we said it was complicated. I'm going to rewatch this episode and really take my time to make sure that everything I'm saying is making sense, because I'm just not quite sure that today I have everything making sense. And I think that's important to do when that's literally the point of this, to get my point across and make sense. I know my main things that I am looking at while dating, that I'm telling myself while dating, is that consistency over chemistry. Let's get to know someone before we get excited. That I do need to be honest about what I want from the beginning. And if that pushes people away, good. The goal isn't to say what I want to make sure someone stays. The goal is to say what I want to make sure that I'm not setting myself up for failure later on. We've been down this road before quite a few times. We live and we learn. And that I'm finding I'm searching for a person that makes dating enjoyable instead of just raw dogging, going out there and thinking maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, or fantasy land, because both of those scenarios really just give you a headache. And I think if we have more of a sense of direction of what we're looking for, what we're getting ourselves into when we get out into dating, it's just better. We're not putting our heart on the line as freely and just allowing any outcome to happen. We have control. We can weed our way through the situations. And I just don't think that dating is talked about enough in this perspective. I think a lot of us are talking about it, complaining, which I understand, and trying to make sense of like whatever situations we get ourselves into. But let's start from before we even get ourselves in those situations. And if we are in them right now, let's figure out how the fuck we got ourselves into it. And then going forward, figure out what we want put ourselves out there, know that it's still going to be a process and not everything is easy, but at least we have a sense of direction. And our thought process is hopefully bringing in a better selection. I'm really going to watch this episode back. So maybe you will see this episode, maybe you won't. If I watch it back and I'm making even a little bit of sense, I'll put it out there. Because I do think I had some good points in this. But if not, I'm going to record a whole new thing. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. 2026 is already making me weird. Okay? But we had to start off strong. We had to start off with dating. And I'm sure we will have much more to speak on in this topic. I will talk to you soon. And let me know your perspective on this. Let me know what's going on in your dating life. Let a girl know so I can get some more insight and I'm not just sharing from my perspective. Let a girl know what's happening in your streets, okay? Talk to you soon.